Hello and welcome to another episode of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDadFF. Joined as always by my main man at FFSnoog. And, we do these shows periodically throughout the year when guys get injured. We start to look at, or if a guy gets traded. Today, much more difficult situation, but more of what to do with Quinshon Judkins. We see that Quinshon Judkins was arrested in Florida. He's still in jail, potentially on domestic violence, seeing where things are. Snoog and I are here to help you guys figure out what to do with your Quinshon Judkins shares. Many of you guys just drafted him, so we want to try to help you guys break this down, show you what it looks like, because in the past, I'm going to tell you, I'm about as all in when it comes to risk as possible. I bought so many shares of Rashee Rice for second round picks. Now he's worth upwards of the 104. I bought so many shares of Tyreek Hill when we had the domestic, violence situation with him for a late second, a mid-second, less than a first, and he won me multiple championships. What I have to say to everybody that's going to tune into this show is look at Dynasty as player profiles, right? Do I condone what these players do? Absolutely not, right? But I'm looking to take the market value. I'm looking to make, an educated decision, play off the market, take other people that don't like the risk, and make some trades, Snoog. And I know, this rookie running back class is elite. We're looking at this thing and we're like, dude, we got 6-7 guys that are going to come in and eat day one. And Quinshon Judkins is one of those guys, one of your favorite guys in this class. This is a little bit of a gut punch. I'm telling everybody not to overreact, but we're here to help you guys because we don't want to underreact as well.
When I saw the news, I literally thought I saw a ghost. It was like such a gut-wrenching thing. It was brutal to see, especially a guy that I'm super confident in the talent and the ability, and I really think he was going to be a star at the next level. It really hurts, but to me, at the end of the day, like these guys, a lot of them are kids, so they make a ton of stupid decisions and choices, and we have no control over that.
Hold up. So Chris Renkel from CBS News Miami just reported that the victim stated this 5 days after the fact that it happened. So I think that's definitely going to play into some things. I think we've really got to look at is like you and I are ready to take the risk. A lot of people, a delayed battery. I don't want to get into any kind of like what's good, what's bad, what's this going to be. As far as what he did, I'm sure he was not, this is not something that we're condoning at all. But we're trying to figure out how to make you guys win some dynasty trades because a lot of your league mates, they're going to panic right away. Like this one right here. I got a trade right here from Stevan. Is it Nelums? Hopefully I pronounced that correct. Just got him in a trade Pitts in a 26 second for Judkins and a Ray Davis. Like, I don't even know how you got Ray Davis in here. That's literally what we're talking about. And what we're going to go over throughout the show is if you take this, that people are ready to hit the panic button because nobody wants to draft their first round pick, right? In this particular trade, he's probably thinking to himself, well, as long as I get Pitts in a second, at least I'm not losing Judkins, who I just paid a first on. Do not be that guy. Do not panic right now. Do not sell him for pennies on the dollar. Right now, I have instructed at least 15 dynasty trades in the Discord. We're going to go over multiple of them here, but listener trades where we've gotten him for Brashard Smith in a second. Like some really interesting trades from different angles. So many of guys have reached out to me. Patreon.com/SmashAccept, get you into our Discord. So many guys are like, hey, what can I do to get Judkins? Here's a roster. Dad, pick this out. What trades make sense? And Snoog, I want to talk about the next part here is what does this offense look like potentially without Judkins? Is there anybody here that's a beneficiary? Are there any players that you're saying, all right, I can see the other side of it, right? When we said Rashee Rice was going to get suspended, the idea was, let's look into Xavier Worthy. Let's look into whoever the Chiefs are taking there. Let's take into a consideration what happens there. And when Tyreek was potentially suspended, Waddle's value went up. Is there any Browns that you can honestly say right off the bat, you're like, okay, I'm going to invest here?
Yeah, I think you could be confident in Dylan Sampson, a 20-year-old running back coming from the SEC, coming off a season with 1,400 plus yards. Just that's the type of bet you want to make because if he hits and if he plays and Judkins, faces a suspension or if it's even worse, gets released or anything and his career ends, Sampson is their guy that they were willing to double dip with on Judkins and build up that backfield. With how horrific of a team that was, they were still willing to take him early 4th round. So he could be a player that gains a ton of value because let's be honest, if Jerome Ford comes out, puts up 1,000 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns, and finishes top 15, he's probably going to gain little to no value. But if Dylan Sampson does it and Quinshon Judkins gets cut or gets suspended for a year or anything like that, he's going to skyrocket 20, 30 spots in Dynasty. So that's the type of bet I would be trying to make. But I think the key is both because they're both dirt cheap or were. So if you have any of them, now's your chance to maybe try to sell and sell high and get a second for either of them. But it also could be a chance where you keep both and see what happens with Judkins and then kind of see if he gets suspended, you can sell it for even more than a second. So it's a weight game, it's a guessing game, and it's a gambling game between what you want to do with this Browns backfield. But Sampson's name pops out the most to me for a guy that I want to bet on to gain value if anything happens to Judkins.
When you look at Jerome Ford last year, when Nick Chubb was not in the roster or not on the field, 64.7% snap share, 14 touches per game, 78 scrimmage yards per game. And Snoog, he scored 14.0 fantasy points per game. That was RB21. You can get him for peanuts right now. You know, I look at both of these guys. I've had multiple opportunities where I've seen guys in the Discord sell Dylan Sampson for an early to mid-second. Process over results. Take that. You know, like, because what are the chances here of if Judkins doesn't get suspended, Dylan Sampson will never be worth a second. Let's just be honest. Like, that's just where he is. You know, I know you like this tape. I like this tape. He's a little bit undersized. He's not a guy that, you know, he fell to round 4. He's not someone that we're saying, even if the Browns something happens with Quinshon Judkins, Dylan Sampson is a replaceable running back. He's someone that they could go out and draft another running back in another highly talented class next year. I like Dylan Sampson. I think he's got some potential, but I think he's more of a sell than a buy right now because I think you get a second and you paid a third, sometimes even a fourth, Snoog, and that's quick money. You know, it depends on what your situation is. If I'm all in, though, I'm going to see how this goes. If I'm rebuilding, I would package Ford in a third for a second, or I would sell Sampson for any second, any year, because I don't see him, you know, guy that went 424 in the draft. So almost the end of the 4th round. Just not someone that I'm super invested in, but I think he would get the first crack. But he's not a guy that you and I both said coming out of college was not going to be the bell cow. So I think Ford sees the first and second down work. He sees some of the other ones. The real thing that everybody's tuned in. I mean, we're 7 minutes in and we're already over 1,000 people viewing because you guys want to know what are we doing with Quinshon Judkins? What's his value right now? And Snoog, I was looking at this. I was redoing. A lot of guys came up to me in the Discord and say, Dad, I got my draft tonight. Like, what do I do? You know, and I think we had him at that 6-7 range, you know, where it's usually Henderson 5, Cam Ward and Judkins are in that 6-7. Now what we got to do is look at that 8 through 10 or 11. I mean, right now I've moved Ibuka up to my 8. Would you rather have Quinshon Judkins or Emeka Ibuka?
It's so tough.
It's not now, though. It's not.
I know.
To me. You know, like, do you want the guy that keep saying to everybody is going to be the heir apparent to either Godwin or Evans, or do you want a guy that tomorrow could get suspended, you know, or worse? You know, like, I don't think the gap in talent is that big. We like this class, right? Like, we really love the fact that, you know, at 8 through 11, you're getting Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, Caleb Johnson. Like, all of these guys to me become very enticing if we wait this late in the draft.
Yeah, it's real tough because it's like you never want to drop down a star that is up there in that range with issues. But when it's a big issue like this that happens, where there's a chance he could either be done for forever or get a fat suspension or whatever ends up happening, you like almost have to adjust, right? And we already know we're confident in Ibuka and what he's capable of doing. So I think you got to lean Ibuka if you're doing rookie drafts right now slightly, but I'm not dropping him any further than that. Like, I think I'm dropping him one spot and then he's sitting right there for me. I
am, because in the process, I mean, you know, Judkins is in that RB. He's my RB4. You have him a little bit higher, but right now, I mean, if you had to choose, Caleb Johnson's actually in a better situation and talent wise is not a massive chasm down further, you know? So, like, I think you start to at least debate it here, where if you're doing your rookie draft, I think I would ultimately, if I had the 107, I'd be trading back trying to find myself an area to get Quinshon Judkins because it becomes a lot more confusing, a lot more dicey. I personally have moved him below Colston Loveland and Tyler Warren in tight end premium, and I have him right there in the same tier with Caleb Johnson and RJ Harvey, just because all of them they have some ups and some downs. I mean, Caleb Johnson fell to the third. RJ Harvey now has J.K. Dobbins, and Quinshon Judkins faces the suspension there. So for me, I want to go over some angles here, but if you're at this spot right now, I've seen multiple guys in the Discord trade a 26 first for Quinshon Judkins. I'm telling everybody, Snoog, 106 or later, give me Judkins. I'm willing to take that risk because you have a full year to recoup that. I think Judkins will bounce back in some value. And I think the tricky part is, Snoog, it took Tyreek Hill a year and some change to recoup value. It took Rashee Rice several months to try to get over that name cachet because people don't want to trade for guys that get in trouble. I mean, before Deshaun Watson came back, you couldn't sell him because everybody's like, I despise what he did, and that becomes a little bit more difficult. So in this, what's the pick range for you in 2026? Like, what's the cutoff where you say, I would be willing to buy Quinshon Judkins, but I wouldn't pay this?
I'd say if nothing ever happened and the Chargers weren't a thing and it was before, like if we can just fast forward or go back into the past, I'd say he's worth a top 5 26 first.
Correct.
All day long. He's probably worth 3 or 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now I'd say he's probably 6, 7, 8 in that range.
Yeah.
Probably 6 or 7. But I want to give a late or I want to give a veteran in a second, but we're going to talk about Judkins or the late first right here. I think best case scenario, you end up, it's probably going to be RB3, and it's not going to be Singleton or Jeremiah Love. So you're probably giving up either like wide receiver 1 or 2 or like QB 3 or 4 or like RB3 in the class for Judkins. In that 26 class, I'm very well willing to do that for his type of talent. Because again, once we find out more, you could end up getting the biggest. We don't know what happened. Like once we find out more about what did happen, like you could end up with the biggest steal of the whole draft. So,
and the way I look at it, talent wise, he's the RB2 in 2026. He's above Nick Singleton. He'd clearly be the RB1 in 2027. So I'm actually at this spot where I'm not even opposed to trading if I know it's going to be a late 27 first. Taking the gamble there because you're getting that class has very limited running back skills, so if you want to go ahead and you can get ahead of it because there is a scenario where he gets a 4-game suspension and comes out and balls out week 5 through 18. And again, we're investing in profiles. Snoog and I are not condoning what the players do. We're saying remove your heart out of the equation and use your head, right? If you were buying stock, but you didn't like the owner of that company, but it's making you money, who cares? That's literally what we're trying to do here is you are playing a fictitious game of fantasy football, buying stocks of fictitious things. You know what I mean? So relax. If anybody, I know I'll get multiple comments of people saying, why are you saying to buy him? What are you doing here? The next one is, if you're all in right now, would you rather have Christian McCaffrey or Quinshon Judkins? Before this started, it's Quinshon Judkins with a heartbeat. You just took him at 408 before Jonathan Taylor, before Chase Brown, before Josh Jacobs, before Kyron Williams. Where does he rank now for you in that area? I mean, because the risk is there, but where do you have him in your current rankings? And I know we're not trying to have a knee-jerk reaction, but start off Christian McCaffrey or Quinshon Judkins if you're all in.
I'm going to take Judkins here over McCaffrey because I'm confident that I could probably go get Kamara, Mixon, Aaron Jones to fill in for Judkins if he's going to get suspended for a lot cheaper. I'm a gambling man, so I'm still keeping Judkins over all those guys. I just think if this all blows over and Judkins ends up having a beast rookie year, none of those guys can gain value like Judkins can. So I'd rather prefer that and take the risk. If you're not going to take the risk, don't fault you for taking Jonathan Taylor. Don't fault you for taking a Chase Brown. Don't fault you for taking a Kenneth Walker and those type of guys. But I'm taking risks. I'm sticking him on the taxi squad. If he gets an 8-game, 10-game, full year suspension, whatever it's going to be, he's sitting on that taxi squad for me, and I'm riding it out because you don't want to sell low on a player like this. Not that a Jonathan Taylor is. Like a 1v1 swap for a guy like that isn't a bad idea at all.
Yeah, and again, like Snoog and I are not legal guys, so we're not trying to assess what that suspension is. Most of the time, we talk to a couple guys that we know in the industry. They believe a 4 to 6 game suspension will be coming. Unless we get further detail. So once you start to see pictures of those other things, that's when the suspensions grow longer. That's when we start to get there. But Snoog and I figure mostly on that 4 to 6 game suspension. The interesting part right here for me is it creates a new trade window, right? If you're in between contending and rebuilding, I saw multiple guys in the Discord trade a pair of seconds for Quinshon Judkins. Do that in a heartbeat, right? Smash that. The other thing I really like is I have so many rosters that people send to me and they're like, they're in the middle of the pack or they're not quite rebuilding, but they're bad, right? And they have Calvin Ridley, Stephon Diggs, Joe Mixon, James Conner, Aaron Jones. You pair one of these guys with a second, and you get Quinshon Judkins. And this is what I did with Tyreek Hill is back in the day, I traded, I believe we were at Adam Thielen in a second at that point. It was like trading a vet, trying to get Tyreek Hill, added Tyreek Hill, won multiple championships. I love Ridley for this year. I think Mixon and Connor and Jones, Diggs, these are the guys that, you target that team, Snoog, who's all in and worried about Quinshon Judkins. And you're like, dude, here, I'll give you one of these guys plus a second. You get the insulation there. You get to play or a pair of these guys for Quinshon Judkins because Judkins will recoup value. He's going to bounce back. He's going to do that way. I would even say I would pay Aaron Jones in a late first, or even Stephon Diggs in a late first because you're going to get a good opportunity for Quinshon Judkins to bounce back in value.
I love that. And I think like I have 2 rebuild teams right now. I'm buying them. I'm going to go shoot out a couple of like the late seconds I've collected or whatever. Or if I have like a Matthew Golden on a squad, I have, a Cam Scatabo, a Trey Harris. I'm going to just take those guys, throw in like a late random 27, 26 second. That's not mine and go try to buy him. Cause he gets suspended. Perfect. He doesn't add any points forward to my team. He doesn't get suspended and he balls out. All right. Flip him for 2 firsts. So it's literally a win-win in that type of scenario. As long as he doesn't get cut and like absolutely just like falls off the face of the earth and just like never plays a snap in the NFL, you probably win that trade.
Yeah, rebuilding's perfect, right? So if you're rebuilding, I have a couple rebuilding teams where I took him at 107 and he's sitting on my team right now. And I'm like, I'm trying to, if I don't own Quinshon Judkins, I'm rebuilding. This is the perfect time to move off of these guys that you cannot really move during your rookie drafts, right? The Devontae Adams, the Derrick Henrys, the Evans, Chuba, Kamara. If you can add just a little bit to get to Quinshon Judkins, yes, there's risk there, but you're going to have a spot where you're going to have one Quinshon Judkins, who Snoog and I both have ranked as a top 12 dynasty running back. You're going to have him on your taxi squad. He's not going to score points, which is going to improve your pick. This is literally the ultimate win-win. The other type of trade that I love making right now, Snoog, are the insulated trades. If you are scared, right? I have no problem if anybody is scared of Quinshon Judkins. So we covered a little bit for the rebuild. We covered a little bit for the contending. But Snoog, what I'm really trying to get to is a trade like this. So this first trade from R. Lucas over in the Discord, he traded Judkins for Tyrone Tracy in a mid-27 first. The mid-27 first is what Judkins is worth today. Let's be honest. Like, he's the 107 in this class, but next year's class, he's probably somewhere right in that middle. But in that 27 class, he's probably 107, 108, probably in that range unless he balls out as a rookie. You get Tracy here basically for free. Another guy in the Discord did this one. Tony Pollard in a random 27 first. You get the production of a player you like. If you believe in Pollard, if you believe in Connor, if you believe, whoever you believe in, get that 27 first plus. Or this one here, Judkins in a 27 second for Kenneth Walker in a 27 first. Like, I don't see any reason not to make this trade. This is the way to do it. This is how you win. I can't see anybody making these kind of trades where you have Brashard Smith in the 26 second for Quinshon Judkins. There's no ceiling for this. Like, there's no reason to go that way. I mean, I've seen other people, Matthew Golden in a second for Judkins. It's not great. It's not horrible. But Snoog, these insulated trades, I mean, if I could get Devontae Adams in a 27 first, or if I could get, a Alvin Kamara in a 27 first, if I can get something like that where I'm going to, it didn't exist 3 days ago, right? But that trade is something you can do now because people want to go ahead and they want to make those opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's the key here is learning and kind of dissecting what you can pay for him, but also understanding what you can sell him for still. There's probably leagues people will pay what you paid for Quinshon Judkins. Like you paid a mid-first for him. There's leagues you'll get a 27 first in Aaron Jones, a 26 first in a Aaron Jones, or a Joe Mixon maybe, or a James Conner. Like you could probably get in a lot of the leagues you're in, especially ones that people like really don't care. They'll hold their players. They won't sell low because of news, where you can get your value back. And I know for sure because I have leagues right now where I'm trying to go buy him, and they're literally like, I'm actually looking to buy him. I'll give you a first if you have him in this league. And I'm like, I don't have him in that league, but that's good to know because I'm learning from other owners what they're willing to pay. And by the assumption of what I've been hearing from a lot of the owners in some of my leagues is they're trying to buy him. They're not scared about the news. A lot of people aren't, but there is going to be also a large group of people that are in a panic selling or want to give up, him to get their contenders, and they drafted him and they're like, shit, now I don't have a running back. So they'll trade him for Joe Mixon in a second, or Aaron Jones in a second, or Kamara in a third, or something like that. Derrick Henry straight up. Like there's options for that as well, which is what you need to capitalize on.
And this is what Snoog and I teach all the time, is just taking – Dynasty is such a cyclical event, and we're taking these situations 9 times out of 10. The suspensions, you have your Ray Rice situations, right? But over the course of the last 10 years, everybody else has come back in some capacity other than obviously Ruggs and Ray Rice. But a guy comes back, you're going to get a major return, and their value is going to back up. I mean, Rashee Rice right now, is anybody talking about what that incident was last year? But you and I made a show in April of last year saying to buy him. We were buying him everywhere. We had guys in the Discord buying him everywhere, getting him for second-round picks. And now,
you remember when he was like wide receiver 30-something?
Yeah.
And we were
instead
like,
of,
holy crap.
Instead of Bashal Tootin, now you have Rashee Rice, who's a foundational wide receiver. And now instead of Joe Mixon in a random second, you're going to get that. Let's break down a couple of trades here because there are a lot. I mean, you guys have been sending them in. The Discord's been sending them in. Some of the guys have asked not to have them shared in the Discord. But this is that area where you guys want – Snoog and I keep saying is like, you have a financial advisor, get a fantasy advisor, just someone to kick the tires off of. Snoog and I have been giving out tons of advice, trying to help guys. This first one here, Jacob Bresson says, Quinshon Judkins and Trey Harris, or Caleb Johnson and Emeka Egbuka. Who are you taking?
I want Caleb and Emeka here because I think there is a big feasible gap between Caleb, Emeka, and Trey Harris.
Mm-hmm.
I do like Judkins over Caleb Johnson still, though, and probably very close to, if not still over Egbuka. But I think Egbuka and Caleb, like this is a trade you could probably still make very
100%.
easily.
But
very easily. So I like this on the Caleb side.
I mean, okay, so let's talk about this. Quinshon Judkins gets a 4-game suspension, right? Caleb Johnson has a Najee Light type, let's call it 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns. I mean, what's the gap between them? It's not going to be much, but the gap between Trey Harris and Egbuka, I think could be huge. I think that could be a really, really big scenario. Another one here sent in the Discord. They asked me not to share their name. J.K. Dobbins and Derrick Henry, or Quinshon Judkins in a second.
I want Judkins here.
I do too. If I'm all in, I would trade Judkins for Dobbins and Henry, potentially. I don't love it. I think the second's on the wrong side. Henry, Dobbins in a second for Judkins seems fair. But given this, if I'm all in, I mean, Derrick Henry's a guy that you want to buy to win a championship. So I'm reluctant there. I lean on the Judkins side, but I see what you're trying to do. Raider Jesse sent one in. Judkins or mid-26 first and Isaiah Pacheco. Now, neither of us like Isaiah Pacheco. So
I'm gonna go with the first here. I think I can do a lot with that first, and I'm still just getting a starting caliber running back. So I like that. Because even if Judkins ends up being nasty, you're still not – it's not like you're getting a turd sandwich back. Like you're getting good value where you can still do something with that first. Trade it for Emeka Egbuka, or go get a guy like, I don't know, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith type of player, maybe even like a AJ Brown and add a couple seconds, or like add a first and get. There's so much you could do with that first. Where if someone doesn't want Judkins, they don't want Judkins.
Right. And now Judkins it's like what we talk about when you draft, right? As soon as you pick Quinshon Judkins or Travion Henderson, that's who that player is. You eliminate players that are interested in that player, right? But you trade Judkins for 26 first and Pacheco. You might be able to flip Pacheco in that mid first for Travion Henderson, who we both prefer over Judkins, right? So you reset the clock. You have a lot more people that are interested in that 26 first. And even if you want to roll with Pacheco, who I think could be a RB2 flex for sure this year, you run with him. You have the insulation of the trade. Judkins gets suspended 8 games and his value dips. You trade that 26 first back for Judkins at some point and you win. That's a real world scenario. That's what was happening with Tyreek Hill. So Jesse Steinmach sent in a keep trade cut for you, Snoog. All right. It's RJ Harvey, Caleb Johnson, and Quinshon Judkins.
I'm going to keep Judkins. I'm going to trade Johnson, and I'm going to cut Harvey.
I think that's fair. Harvey, now I've moved down because of the J.K. Dobbins news. Just because we flip-flopped it, right? Before the draft, it was Caleb over Harvey. I flipped Harvey over Caleb after the draft because of the landing spot. But given the fact that Caleb Johnson's 21 and RJ Harvey's 24, and now Dobbins is there, who's more.
Dobbins is not a chump either.
Yeah.
Like, he's a pretty good running back. Like Harvey's probably going to be better and more juicy, like have more juice.
The rumor is that Dobbins is going to be the starter. Now I just traded up for him in Smash Accept 20. Wow. And I think that it would make sense for the Broncos, would it not? Like, you take the veteran on the prove it deal, run him into the ground, and keep your rookie in a little bit
pressure. A dynamic pass catcher. He's going to be the Mark Ingram. He's going to be the Mark Ingram, and they'll play Harvey more like that Camaro role type of thing. Probably.
Correct. Crypto Waz sent in Pollard, 26 second, 26 third, or Judkins. This has to be a first, right? Pollard in a first, though. Pollard in a random first. What are you taking?
It has to be a first. I want it to be a 27 first, so I'm taking if it's a mid 26, I'd take Pollard because I'd probably like Pollard over. Shit, I don't know. Pacheco is probably better, more value opportunity, Pollard. But I think Pollard's gonna put up more points. 100%. And he's safer because Pacheco didn't look great after that leg injury.
Guy just sent one in. Hold on, it's crazy because they just keep rolling in. I think it's Ed the Goat, Devon A-Chain, or Egbuka and Quinshon Judkins.
Ooh. That's tough. That's tough.
I'm still taking A-Chain for the run. If I'm competitive,
I think so too. But I think long term that could look real good.
Yeah. Lamart from the Discord wants to know Quinshon Judkins or a random 28 first, right? Like the 28 class, let's be honest, like you can get into Devi, but a lot can change. I'm taking the shot on Quinshon Judkins because even if, something happens, I think I could be able to flip him and play a little bit more with it. D10128 from the Discord wants to know Judkins and Bigsby or Jacobs, Monagai, and 26 third. I said it wrong again. Monangai, Jacobs and a third, or Judkins and Bigsby.
I want Judkins and Bigsby here.
This is close, right? Like if it's 4 games, I can sit there and I can be like, all right, I'll throw Bigsby in the lineup occasionally. If it's 8 games, Jacobs is going to win you leagues. I mean, I think Jacobs is a top 8 to 10 running back for this year. I told him I would buy Judkins, but if that was a 26 second, I'd really consider it. Quite a bit different, right? Like if this is a 26 second and I can go buy Kamara with that 26 second, or I can buy another veteran that's going to put up points, I will do it. D. Whitney, money from the Discord. Late 26 first and Tootin or Judkins and Terry McLaurin.
Judkins and Terry. Like this is what I'm trying to do right here. Like I think this is an absolute smash.
Let's take Terry out of it. I mean, would Tootin in a late first or Judkins?
Yeah,
it's almost a free Terry, right?
Yeah, that's what I feel. What is like Dynasty P Rivers saying?
I don't know. I'm keeping it what we have here. Big Fish Dog from the Discord. This one's tugging right at Snoog's heartstring here. Kamara and an early second. So let's say that's 201 or 202 in 2026, or Quinshon Judkins.
If it's guaranteed 201, I want Kamara side. Otherwise, it's Judkins. But
yeah, that's what I'm saying is I want this to be a 26 first, but I don't think you're going to get the 26 first. If we could say it's an early
1-2 flop, maybe.
That's the real way to do it, right? Like you want to get that 1-2 swap, and the trades, they just keep rolling in. I mean, I'm shocked at this because most of the time, if I have Quinshon Judkins, you and I talked about it. I have 6 shares. I didn't offer a single trade. I'm not gonna like. What's the point of me coming at you? What you really want to is if you own Quinshon Judkins, you wait for someone to come to you. Let them overpay because sometimes they're going to. They're going to just be like, "Oh, I'm going to go out there and get him." If you are trying to buy him, then it's a matter of, you go out there and you shoot that shot. I'm in 21 leagues. I own him in 6. The other 15, as soon as I get done with this show, I'm going to send out trades. I'm going to send out feelers. I'm going to try to make them attractive. Joe Mixon in a second, like try to make moves like that. My man Kevin Karpinski asks, Isaiah Likely, Judkins, and a pair of seconds, or Tucker Kraft and a 28 first. It's Judkins. Like Tucker Kraft is fine. 28 first, play around with it. We're not all in on those. J Donnie 05 says Dak Prescott and Quinshon Judkins, or Trevor Lawrence, J.K. Dobbins in a second.
Dak and Judkins all day for me.
See, I like Lawrence very similar to Judkins before this actually happens. I really think that you're going to get Dak considerably cheaper though. Like Dak is the difference maker. I mean, then you're looking at Dak for Dobbins in a second. That's really where I'm at.
Yeah, exactly.
So I really think that we have a lot of opportunity to make some trades here. I think you have some opportunities that you're not going to want to miss out. I mean, people are selling him for 26 first, says Char 15. Bama 914 says start up next week. How far should he be pushed down? You took him at the 408. I think he falls to the 6th. Like
let's not talk about that. $200 league, my 4th round picks.
The value is going to dip, but we're here to help you guys out. I mean, we're right now approaching 5K subs. You guys keep coming out every single show. I'm going on vacation this week, so I'm really going to try to get out there, get the trade show going, because we always have trade show Tuesdays. I'll be at the beach, but hey, I'll be like, kids, we can go to the boardwalk, but we got to get this trade show going. You know what I mean? We got to get things going. So thanks again for tuning in. And I hope this really puts you guys over the top so you guys can enjoy the process.